and get these angles right.
All right. So you all may get a little prompt about recording. Just go
Yeah.
ahead and accept that. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I am so excited about being able to again put some vibes out there that is going to change lives. And I absolutely intentionally believe that. And so we have a great show with some great and beautiful people, beautiful souls. I cannot wait to share with you all and to interview and for them to share the wealth of knowledge that they have accumulated in their time of their professions as students, as well as being in their careers. But before we get started, I am going to do a very intentional plug on a few products I'd like for you all to support. I'm going to share my screen and then do a couple of housekeeping things, and then we'll move on from there. If you make your way to H2o-1.com, you will see a few different things that I'm promoting right now. I have a single out called H2o Optimize that you can get at your local Amazon, or you can get on Apple. There's a few different places that you can download that, or you can simply just go to YouTube and listen to it for free. I still collect my coins one way or another. But my heartbeat with this song is to really theme the movement that I like. It's H2O, healing to optimization, join the wave. My point is to create a vibe and a space for people who need the healing can access that. And for people who just say, hey, I feel like I'm good on the healing part, I'm just ready to take my life to the next level, that this is your theme song to do so. So you all support that music. And for those who don't know, I just released a book, 11/1/21, a book called Almost Doesn't Count or Does It? If you have not picked up your copy, again, you can go to my website and you can you can download your copy, or you can download an audio, or you can actually purchase the hard copy. But go to H2o-1.com. A few other things I have going on right now for this month. We've already started our nutritional coaching classes. I'm doing some group classes right now. We just finished Nutrition 101, Food Relationship. Next week, we're going to start on our 102, Optimizing the Gut. But we are going to be able to go back through and review some of this information so that we can get you all educated on how to make practical steps to achieve your nutritional goals. So if you are ready to take that nutrition to the next level, please go to my website and you all can purchase your class. There's a few different plans that you can get, but just make yourself available to the resources. Start next month. I'll also start the transitional coaching classes. We're going to start with the Almost Doesn't Count 3-workshop course. If you are in a place where you know that you need to rewrite your narrative on a few areas of your life or just one area, these workshops are for you. So if you're looking for that challenge to just, again, step it up in your life, designing your mind and designing the kind of outcomes that you would like for your mind and your spirit, let's join that journey together and let's make it happen. You can take an opportunity to look through the workshops, the other flyers I have coming up for the next several months. We're going to make it happen. We're not only going to bring our nutrition up, but we're going to bring up our mental and our spiritual. Okay. So you may be asking yourself, why the H2o platform now? I know that everybody has podcasts out and everybody is interviewing and doing these things. I think it's great. And I honestly feel that we can't have enough podcasting. If you didn't know, actually, let me pose a question to you all. How many thoughts during a day on average do you think we have? How many thoughts do you, and don't try to look it up just yet, just throw a number out there.
2, 3-ish.
2 or 3-ish thoughts in a day.
I said like 1,000. I say close to 1,000. We think a lot. Our mind is constantly going,
Yeah.
even in our sleep.
Absolutely. Well,
Mhm.
I've researched a few different things. I had my class yesterday to look up a few different resources, and we came up with at minimum 6,000 thoughts,
Mhm.
all the way up to one other resource said 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts in a day. People,
Wow.
if you are not even aware of 1% of your thoughts, think about how many passive thoughts that are filtering through your mind every day.
Mhm.
And when we consider how much stress that we have in a day, and that stuff is just filtering through our bodies, that's a lot of activity that's going on.
Yeah.
And so when we think about having all these platforms out, these positive platforms that are providing people with information, you cannot have enough. You simply cannot have enough. And so, why now? Timing is of the essence. And this is a time that I feel like it's appropriate for H2O to now come out and start sharing more extended pieces of information. I know I have some short videos out there, but I want a platform where we can actually take some time to unfold some of the concepts that I've introduced just in my short videos. And of course, have wonderful interviews with people that can, again, help us all to take our lives to the next level. Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
Carl, I think I got two more things I got to say, and then we're gonna jump into our peeps. Just to give you a little background, my academic pedigree is actually in communications. My undergrad is in broadcast journalism, and my master's is in mass communication. So these kinds of things I have been doing off and on for about 20 years: interviews, radio, podcasting, all the likes. These are things that I've really enjoyed, and I've grown to appreciate how impactful the platforms can actually be. And so I consider that this platform is probably one of the platforms I'm most excited about, because I've been able to see my career culminating in a place where there's just harmony in the way that my life experiences have been able to provide people that I come in contact with. So that's one of the other reasons why I feel like this is not only the right timing, but all of my gifts seem to be coming to a place that I can provide what's needed for a time such as this. And I think I've
Praise
already
God.
touched on another one. So now we get to our interviews again with these beautiful souls. I'm going to brag on them both before we do a formal introduction. And I'd like to first brag on this young lady, Miss Deja Hamilton. She's going to, of course, talk about who she is and what she does. But one of the reasons why I chose her to be a part of this platform is her mother. Actually, I've known her mom for a few years. I met her a couple of years ago. A beautiful soul, a strong woman, a very intelligent woman, and very powerful. And if you meet her, you will definitely understand why. Um, she put me in connection with her daughter. For
Mhm.
those who do not know, I am a LMT, or a licensed massage therapist. I had the pleasure to go and provide services. Another business partner and I had the pleasure to go to her women's group before the end of the year and provide a service for them. And I did not know while these women were meeting, I just thought I was going to a group that was just, ready to relax and just enjoy getting a massage. But when I got there and found out exactly why they were meeting, I was completely blessed and floored that these young women were coming together to support each other in the way that they will support each other. I'm not going to steal her thunder. I'm going to let her talk about it. But I want you all to really just tune in to what she is going to be sharing. And hopefully, for some of you, be inspired to perhaps replicate or even connect with her and find out how you can be supported in this time. Yes, we are kind of coming through COVID. We are, but there's still a lot of impacts. And I honestly believe that what we have encountered as a human race globally, we are going to be unpacking these experiences for years to come. And unfortunately, it will be transgenerationally. I'm going to be hopefully probing our guests to talk about a couple of things that's on my mind and my heart, outside of just what I've provided them for questions. But there's a lot to discuss. And mental health is one of those issues that we are going to be talking about. In addition to, we're also going to be talking about physical health. And so that's for our dear Deja. My cousin Shannon, of course, I've known him all his life because I'm older, only not even by a full year. So, but it does me great pleasure to have him on this platform. He has been a nurse practitioner for almost 20 years now?
Yeah, registered nurse. Yeah.
Registered nurse.
Almost 20.
Almost 20 years. And so I cannot wait to just probe his brain and pick his brain on some things I already do outside of these interviews. And we have a blast being able to exchange information, and more so me coming to him, asking him about what's the new this and this on the health scene and whatnot. So definitely excited. I'll talk more about him once we do his side of the interview. But all that to say, Miss Deja Hamilton, I know I can talk and just go, but I would love for you to just share with us what you do and who you are. Can you do that for us?
I most definitely can.
Right.
My name is Deja Hamilton. I'm 26. I'm currently in school to get my master's for mental health counseling. But I currently work at Memorial Hermann. I'm an ambulatory contact specialist. I help people kind of schedule their appointments, but in that I also try to bring a bit of myself and help people. Like I get so many older people who are by themselves, especially during this time. So I just talk with them, and by the time they get off the phone, they've had a great experience. And so that's what I try to bring what I do to everybody. I'm always trying to be positive, even when things are negative, because you have to have that one light. And even when I'm going through it, I take myself out of the equation for a little while, and then I center myself, and then I go back into it. But you most definitely always have to try to keep yourself together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what has inspired you to go to the path or go through the path that you're on right now?
Well, I've always knew I wanted to help people. So I was pre-med for a long time in school. I wanted to be a doctor for a long time. And then I just kind of lost interest. And I sat back and I realized, like, what do I like to do? And I've always realized, like, my friends call me the counselor out of the group because I always help. They call me for everything. And so I was like, and then my dad, I've always wanted to help veterans because he's a veteran. So he suffered from PTSD most of my life. So I've always been able to see that other side of that as well. So it geared me to do mental health.
Nice. Okay. And just in case we have people that will be listening to this audio or video and don't even know what mental health is and what it consists of, can you just give us a summary of what is mental health and why is it important?
To me, I'm going to say to me, because everybody take mental health differently. To me, mental health is the understanding of your mental state and knowing how to properly and correctly identify those emotions and those mental things and properly deal with them. So not where you're harming yourself or where you feel like you're alone, because you're not alone. There's plenty of people out here that can help you and assist you that is out of your element. You just have to reach out for that help. And that's what I want to create, that lane where you can reach out and you don't feel like you're by yourself. I don't want to feel like, oh, you're coming to a professional. I want you to feel like you're coming to me as your friend. Because that's another thing about a lot of people. They feel like, oh, counseling, there's nothing wrong with me. It doesn't have to anything be wrong with you. It's a lot of things in our life that impact us that we don't even realize impact us until we sit down and dissect it. And you're like, oh, that really affected me in this way. And you're like, I didn't know that. So to me, mental health is just understanding your mental state at the moment that you're in it and understanding that you're going to have those emotions. And it's okay to have those emotions, but you have to properly deal with them as well.
Oh, that's a pretty powerful definition. Well, I alluded to some of this in my introductory. about COVID and how we are dealing with, we're still in the thick of it. Just can you share with the group and with those who'll be listening, how have you seen COVID make an impact in your line of work?
COVID has had a lot of people to sit down and deal with things that they avoid, that they work through. You constantly working, but you're avoiding things that have affected you. So with COVID, by the jobs being closed and by you having to be at home so much, you're at home, you're still. It causes you to be still. And so a lot of people have not had that, I'm not gonna say training, but the right knowledge to deal with what they've been going through. So now they're facing it, and now they're facing depression. That's why depression has risen. Suicide has risen because people are having to face those demons, I'm going to say,
Sure.
because they're having to face them. So COVID has really opened that line for people understanding that something is not always mentally right. Like I need help.
Mhm.
And so that's COVID has really opened that line up for a lot of people to understand that they have things deep down, even from years, that they don't even realize that they were coping with, or just throwing work on top of it to get away from it.
You mentioned something about silence. What is it about silence have you found that maybe intimidates people?
Silence, because when you're silent, it helps your mind is talking to you.
Mm.
Your mind, you're in your head. You're like, okay, like if you're in a room by yourself and say you got the music on, you're singing. But if you don't have anything on and you're silent, what do you have? Your thoughts.
Mm.
And you'll be amazed at the things you think about just being silent.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel the public needs to know about how to address mental health during these times?
It's okay to reach out.
Mm.
Really. That's the main thing. People are so scared to reach out for that help. They're so scared. They like, oh, I don't want to seem like something's wrong with me. There's nothing. We're humans. And if a person is judging you for the way that you choose to walk through your human experience, they're not the people that you need in your corner. You need to find that help that's going to help you through everything, of every aspect, mentally, physically, everything. So just reach out for the help. Is there. I promise is there.
And please remind me, by the time we end this, I want you to share resources that people can connect with, so that when they look at this video, we can give them a resource to go to immediately if that's the help that they need. But I am going to ask that we reverse a little bit and go back. I really want you, if you feel comfortable, to talk about the group that you all created to support each other in light of and in lieu of COVID. Can you do that? Or you feel comfortable?
Yes, most definitely. It actually started in 2020. So me being me, I'm the person like my friends come and talk to. So I had one friend, she was suffering from grief. She had just lost her grandmother and her dad 3 days apart, on top of working 2 jobs. I had my other friend, she felt stuck in life and was just working. She felt like she was just working and going nowhere. And so my sister had just started school. I was finishing school. We were all under an immense amount of stress, as well as COVID. So I was like, you guys, we all get tested, all that stuff like that. And I was like, let's go and let's just get together. Let's staycation. That was my idea. And so I planned the entire thing. So the first one we did in October of 2020. And we came that Friday, we had fun, we had games, we drink, we're all adults, so we drunk, had games, everything. That's to loosen everybody up, get everybody acclimated to everybody, because some people were new, some people were not, so they didn't know each other. The next day we did vision boards and just movies and stuff like that. So it was like a relaxing day where we could escape the outside world at that moment. Like we just needed that. And then at the end of the Saturday, like we do every time we meet, we just had life discussion. People were talking about things they were going through, and we were just giving each other's ideas, inspiring each other. And then we had 2 last year. So we had one in June, which was a summer one. And by June, a lot of people had did different things in it. Some people had went back to school. Some people had, so we were sharing new aspects of our lives, as well as, okay, I got this going on. Can we discuss this? Yeah, we definitely can, giving each other, encouraging each other. And we do it, we've been now trying to do it twice a year because it really helps us. And like the last one you went to was our second one. And we did like the Christmas one, and we cook and we come together and we stay the whole weekend. So, but it's just amazing because all of us are now as a group, because we have that support from each other. Even outside of when we meet, we call each other, we text each other. We were like, you guys, I'm going through this, can we talk? We get on all video call together, we talk. So it created a support system from all of us, and I think it's like 7 of us.
Mm-hmm.
We just support each other. And so, and then it was like, when you gave me something to think about, I didn't think about of taking it on a bigger grand scale for other women, because I was just doing it for my friends, because I'm always that person for them.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, we can be that person together.
Yes, absolutely. And so that we can cover ourselves, this is an idea, an original idea that this young lady has put together, and I want to support and to push what she's doing. So please, there's a few more questions we're going to ask her or interview her on, but I just want to encourage women in particular who are needing that group. And I'm sure if there's young men or men in general who are needing a support group, she can still be a resource to help you plug in where you need to go.
Yes.
But please reach out to her and let her be a support for you as she's able to, or at least let her help you identify resources that can put you in the best position so that you can be your best version in the midst of all of the stress, anxiety, depression, all the things that are going on right now. You have a support system and you have resources out there, like she mentioned.
And even if I don't know, I will always find out. So
Absolutely.
there's nothing for me to help you find out. And like, I am going to be starting something pertaining to that, where it's going to start off with what I know right now, women, but it will branch out to men and children, and, but I want to, so I'm in the works of that right now, starting that.
Excellent, excellent. There'll be more information that she'll have and that we'll be able to put content out there about what she's doing and how she's getting that together. Can you just share with us what have you seen? You kind of touched on a few things, but can you just share maybe a little bit more about what specific things maybe have you experienced since you all have been meeting as a cohesive group?
For me, I've experienced, right when I was graduating college, I kind of felt stuck. But my friends like helped me see that sometimes you might have to stand still for a while to get planted first and then thrive. So they've really helped me through. And then my dad being sick as well, they've been a big support behind that. So, I mean, if it wasn't for these ladies, I probably would have given up a long time ago, on a lot of my journey, because sometimes it does get overwhelming for me. And then I'm like, I'm going through personal things as well. So it's like, yes, I'm helping others, but sometimes I feel like I need to help myself. But, and they be like, Deja, but what you're doing is beautiful. They always encourage me. So that encouragement alone for me keeps me going, honestly.
And I'm gonna optimize that point right there, pun intended. Um, can you speak to that person? I think I overheard you and Shannon having a slight discussion about strength and what it means to be vulnerable. Can you speak to that woman, to that man who always feels like they have to be the strong one, they just have to take on everything, and they have to be the person that everyone comes to, and we can get prideful when we have to be vulnerable with someone else? Can you just kind of speak to that population of people?
I've had to learn this. Being vulnerable is strength in it. It is real strength in being vulnerable. Sometimes you're gonna have to be vulnerable to understand to understand the emotion that you're having. So sometimes you're going to have to cry because we're human. We have to let that emotion out. And then, but it's okay to be strong, but sometimes you're not always strong. You're not, and it's okay. That's what people fail to understand, that it's okay to be vulnerable. Vulnerability helps you in a lot of ways because you've been strong. You're being your own personal punching bag. Mm. And there's no need to. There's no need to. It's not. Just let it out, let it out. We're human. And if a person tell you it's wrong to cry, man, woman, child, it's okay to cry. It's okay to scream. It's okay to be mad. But grasp an understanding of that emotion. That's the main thing. I'm crying because I'm mad because. Understand it and then move on.
Can you share some quick go-to resources that people can connect with in the event that as they're watching this, they know that they need it and they know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, I need help, and they're ready for it? Where do they go?
So with my friends, I've always told them just to ask their primary care. A lot of times your primary care do have that connection with the therapist or counselor. With my dad, it was kind of easy for us because he is a veteran. So they offer that at the VA. So if you are a veteran, please go. They're 100% there. But a lot of times your primary care has one on standby that they can recommend you to. And then once you go from there, they will assist you with finding the right one. Excellent. If you feel like that person they recommended you to is not it, they will say, okay, well, I have somebody else that might be better suited for you. They will assist you. So that's what I've learned. So
overall, there is someone for people who need the help.
Yes.
And it may take a little bit to find that perfect
person. Yeah.
Person.
But you have to find that person that aligns with your values, because if they don't, they won't understand what you're going through. I'm not saying that we're not trained, because as I'm going through mental counseling, we are trained to be biased, but we're still human. So my views may not align with yours. It might not be what you want to hear from me. So I'm going to help you find that right person so you don't feel alone.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it may be a little process to find the perfect match, so to speak, but keep on the journey. I can attest to my own experiences in therapy, and I put it in my chapter 6 book, and I was vague about some things because it is private, and I wanted to save it for a safe space, such as a workshop, that I can really go into details about how to be vulnerable with the therapist, but also take that vulnerability that you create with the therapist in your private time. Because yes, therapists are great to have, but the truth of the matter is, it would be quite expensive to have a therapist to walk with you 24/7, and they would go crazy. So you want to be able to develop some practical skills that you can take along the way in your own personal life, so that again, you can heal and you can optimize. Deja, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our people? What would you like to say?
I do have some tips on how you can do it with, not do it without a therapist, but when you're not with your therapist.
Come on.
A journal, your best friend.
Yes.
Find a silent place. I always do it in my car. It's the best place. Nobody's really messing with you. I be in my car, I get my journal, and whatever I'm feeling, I let it out. I cry, I scream, but as I'm letting it out, I'm writing it down as well, because I always do a year from the day. I go back and read it to see my growth from what I was feeling then to where I am now. It's completely different. It's always different. So you always want to go back and read and look at your growth. A journal is the biggest thing. Sometimes I go back from when I was a kid and didn't even realize, like, I'd be like, dang, I didn't know that affected me as a kid. Wow. I didn't know that did that to me as a kid, because so a journal, I recommend it. I have like 2. I have a dream journal and I have a regular journal. So I recommend those. I'm telling you, tablet, it does not matter.
Yes,
Write it down. And you write it out. When you write it down, you're physically releasing it by crying and everything, but you're mentally releasing it when you jot it down.
Nice, nice,
Really?
nice. And just for just because I want to, can you just summarize your project that you're working on as much as you can share, and then what's next?
So right now, the project that I'm working on is gonna be kind of what I do with my ladies, but it will be like a retreat type of thing where you come and there'll be workshops where on that Saturday you get like those different workshops and stuff, and the massages and everything that I had at the last one will be available, but they won't be the same every time. So they're gonna be offered twice a year as well. That's my plan right now, is that they're still gonna do it twice a year, but it'll be for people to come and sign up and go. So it'll be like a real retreat. I'm looking for the space now, but I'm working on it. It's in the works. So if when you get to my Instagram and I promote it, I want y'all to go and sign up and come. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be everything, but it's gonna be just like my girls' retreats here, but it'll be for outside people. People that need that help, that need that support.
Nice.
And
Nice.
counseling will be offered because I will be having that there too.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. We are so proud of you. We're proud of you and cannot say it enough.
Thank you.
You keep it up. The sky is not even the limit for you all, because again, just meeting your group of ladies and seeing how gifted all of you are, and you're business owners and you're just doing your thing. I'm just, please spread the love. Best friend, I know you're supporting over there. All of y'all, I'm proud of all of you all. And just keep it moving and keep pushing out these positive platforms that you're doing, and just showing the love, because it's going to come back to you in abundance. And I just believe that for you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Cousin Shannon, you got anything for our dear guest, our other guest?
Yeah, let me sprinkle a little bit of that seasoning. Little seasoning, aka blessing.
Salt
love, yeah, prosperity, all that good stuff coming your way, this year and many to come. And thank you for being a fantastic advocate for people and doing everything you can to offer them a safe space.
Thank
you. Hey, I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, you all, any final words, or anything else you need to get out?
Nope, that's it.
Right. Well, we will provide Deja's all of her social medias on the platforms, so you'll know where to reach her, and just again support her, spread the word, spread this part of the interview, because I know someone needs to hear it. If not you, somebody else needs to hear it. It's so good to be able to deal with the mental and the emotional aspect that we're dealing with. And Deja did a fantastic job of getting us to come in and to see how our inner terrain is so important for us to be able to heal and optimize. Next, we want to shift it to our physical. And not only is this because, not only did I invite my cousin on the platform because we're relatives, but because of the long history I know that he has in working in the industry. And I have to say this, he probably would never even share this, but I'm going to say it. To see and to hear my cousin on the front line of COVID in New York, when all of the COVID cases were spiking in 2020, to see that he was on the front line did my heart well. But then there was a little bit of that tingle on the inside, like, Lord, just keep them covered, because there's just a lot going on. And of course, we're watching the news and we're seeing New York on the news every day and seeing how things are spiking and the death tolls are going up. And it was a I don't know, I guess a catch-22 feeling, if I can say it that way, a bittersweet moment knowing that he was there. But he's been a hero in my life, not just because of being on the front line for COVID, but came to visit me out in China when nowhere in the world, and no time in the world would I thought any of my family would have came and visited me when I lived in China for a few years. And my cousin came out at one of the most pivotal times in my life as I was going through my own mental health transformation and spiritual transformation on so many different levels. He came out and it was just one of the pinnacle times of my life. And there's just so many stories I can share about my cousin. And I love this guy as a brother. I know his story and I know the things that God has brought him through to be where he is. And I'm just super proud of him. And so all that being said, we are going to let him introduce himself, what he does, and just tell us a bit about what's happening in the world. So nonetheless, Cousin Shannon.
Man, what an introduction. You're gonna make me cry over here. Deja's gonna see my makeup fall off.
Well, get your tissue out. Don't let the mascara run too thick now.
I say it's okay to
Right.
cry.
That's right. Heard it loud from our mental health professional.
Right. No doubt. First, I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you, Roger, for having me, and Deja, thank you for sharing this space with me. I greatly appreciate this as an opportunity. So yes, my name is Shannon. Yeah, I online I go by Silver Fox, and my main profession, I'm a critical care registered nurse. I've worked in medicine now for 19 years, almost 20 years solid. Started when I was 18 and have transitioned to the great age of 37. So it's been quite the journey, as you know, Rod has very descriptively depicted. I'm currently working a crisis assignment in the Pacific Northwest. I've been here since September, living out of a hotel, and you know, doing everything I can to try to help our country, you know, fight this nasty virus we have. It's definitely worn on me emotionally. I've had my emotional ups and downs, struggling, you know, to keep getting up to go to work. You know, I have had some emotional strife as it relates to, should I continue to still care for people who don't care for themselves, who are choosing ultimately not to get vaccinated, who choose many things. So one of the ways I've chosen to deal with those feelings is to start asking more questions, specifically the questions to those who have those types of opinions, and do a deeper dive into their thought process. And along the way, see if I can massage their thinking to help them realize that there is, there's many ways to win, and we've got to be able to do this together, right? So yeah, so I've been doing that in my spare time, the very little that I get, because I work an average of 60 hours a week, usually 60 to 72. I've been trying to develop my social media platform. You can find me on IG at the official Love and Fitness, and I got a podcast that yeah, that will be off the hinges as just as soon as I can get enough time to finish it. Yeah, so that podcast, it will be called House of Fox. It's a House of Fox podcast. Yeah.
You know,
yeah. So
can I put a little plug there and say your theme song should be What the Fox Say?
ooh,
Definitely.
hey,
That's a good one.
I got you, man.
you got me. Yeah, man.
But
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. So along the lines of emotional and mental interest, you know, something that I want to really push, and this is a plug for the podcast, is it's going to be all about vulnerability. You know, relationship inspired vulnerability. You know, I just want to have open conversations, giving male perspective, but allowing women to give female perspective, and trying to re-engage on a more neutral level to better understand one another so that we can move forward together. You got so much stuff out there that's advocating us to be apart. And I just don't think people are very tolerant anymore. And to be in a relationship, it is an art form, right? It's a constant adjustment swing, and you got to be able to be flexible. And people just aren't that. So we got to show them how to do it. And I'm excited to be able to step into that space and see if I can inspire that.
Let me just kind of touch on that while you're there, because I want you to kind of speak to this and we can continue on. Because I think it's important, something that you and Deja both have touched on about relationships, and then what I'm just going to probably remix and say something, Deja, that you probably didn't say, but I just felt like you wanted to say this if you didn't. And that really is how, when we start to isolate what creates stress. In fact, she did say this. Okay, thank you. She talked about how COVID has created a sit down time, in so many words, and for people to maybe be at home with perhaps their spouse or their loved one, that work kept them occupied, kept in a relationship or a marriage that was probably dead 5 years ago, but because work is keeping me occupied, my routine is keeping me occupied, I'm going to somewhat shift that question into something that you talked about, and what you will likely, it sounds like, will be continuing the conversation on your platform. And that is, how are you seeing relationships be stressful and yet therapeutic in this time of COVID? Hopefully that wasn't too much on the spot.
No, I've really seen a lot of relationships either build, become really strong because they realized there was things missing in their marriage or in their relationship. And I've actually seen some come to the understanding that it was no longer there. So it's either been either a down or a up. Because COVID, like I said, it has had people to have a sit down. So where you're normally not at home with them for 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day, now you are. And you're like, we're looking at each other like, okay, I really don't know who the new you are, because we change. That's the one thing pivot about life, is that we always constantly change. And so you've changed and you've grown, and I've changed and I've grown. Do we know each other now? So that has been the biggest question that a lot of couples have been coming to face is, do I even know who you are now?
Wow. Shannon, what are you planning to do? Thank you, Deja, for sharing that. Shannon, with what she just shared, will your platform talk about how to perhaps engage in these kind of conversations with perhaps your partner, or ...
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to create a systematic approach on how to do that, right? A step by step. You got to give people a map, if you will, right? Because without formality, it leaves the door open for misunderstanding and misinterpretation of how you're trying to deliver something, right? So number one, there's got to be a formality. I do believe, Deja, that you can restore relationships, right? Rekindling, because you fall in and out of emotions, right? And if love is a feeling, you can fall in and out of that too. And like I said earlier, we have too many mixed bag relationships with people that we allowing too many people to come in and out of our life. We just are. From a vulnerability, an emotional relationship vulnerability side, we're allowing way too many people. And by the time we're standing succinct with the right person, we got all of this stuff just coming in and out of us, and we're not on the same wavelength. So I think formality is important. I hope that answers the question. A structured formality. So that's going to be a big one that I want to cover. How to ask the questions. And you have to preface on the front end that it's going to be a non-judgmental space.
Definitely.
And
No
then
judgment is the
and there
point.
has to be and there has to be steady guided consistency. You have to make sure you're aware that when someone says something to you that you ask to be informed about, that you cannot blow up and lose your cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I think, I think this is why people, I think this is why we all live in a closet in many different ways. And it started with your upbringing. It started at home. Your parents tell you, now, you know, there's anything you need to talk about, you can always come to me. Until you come to them humbled and vulnerable and you get your head bit off. Right? And then that your natural human instinct is to go back to the drawing board. And what you do is you tuck that, whatever that subject was, you tuck that away in the closet. And you start reaching out to everybody else who may not really be qualified to assist or guide you. And before you know it, you're off on a yellow brick road of self-destruction and harm and misunderstanding. Just because your mother or your father, God bless them, or aunt, uncle, whoever was in your life at that time that was telling you it was a safe space and you could come and open up about it. They may have actually been qualified, but because they are not qualified on how to receive information, they set you up for failure, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, we listen to respond more than we listen to understand. That's what I've come to
realize. Say that again. Say it again.
Yeah.
We listen to respond more than we listen to understand. And so that's a big part of communication, is that you're supposed to listen to understand before responding. So a lot of times we react out of our emotion, then we react out of understanding. So
that's good.
Yeah, I like that. She dropping knowledge bombs. Get it,
girl.
Dropping
knowledge bombs, man. Shannon, talk to me about the physical aspect and how you have used your physical training to channel in some of the, well, I'm going to presume, because I know I did, but how did you use your physical training to perhaps channel in some of the or even to convert some of those hardships? And even now, as COVID is doing its thing, how are you holding up physically? And how are you using your physical activity to, I guess, as a therapeutic space as well?
Yeah, man. And it has been that for me since we were kids, right? And I've just attached myself to that. So training for me isn't, I guess you could say, primarily has always been about the therapeutic aspect, number one. And then number two was, the aesthetic and interest of getting stronger and looking a certain kind of way was always second or third. It was the tertiary thing. But you really don't know what the depths of your strength is until you start pushing.
Yes.
Your physical limitations, right? Staying up later, studying later, right? We know what that was like being in college, right? Staying up later, studying longer than you ever had, right? Operating on little sleep, doing study groups with people you really don't know, trying to figure out who's good at this and that and the other. It's the same thing with training. Pushing your body beyond its limitations helps you really, really, really build your self-esteem, right? It has helped me build my self-esteem.
Sure.
Not that it was super low, but we're all insecure. I haven't met a human being who doesn't have insecurities, right? So training my body has been a way that I could release and not have to cope. I don't want to cope with anything. That's kind of my thing. Coping is a crutch. It has its place. Um, but just like your cell phone gets updated with new and improved software, your emotions should be updated with new and improved software, uh, if you will. And working out has definitely given me that as an opportunity to just deal with me, dealing with me, going into the trenches, figuring out, why I think and I feel the way I think and I feel, and separating the right or wrong attachment to a thing that I think or I feel, and just dealing with it. Yeah.
Beautifully stated, man. Beautifully stated. Um, since COVID has been in, have you found that you've increased your physical activity? I know that your schedule really has been very rigorous, and I know that you're in one state. I think you've been in about 3 or 4 states just within the last year, something like that. Last 2 years, you've been in several different states, or
Ooh, yeah. Several. We'll say we'll say several states. Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. In the beginning, to be honest, Rod, everything was shut down where I was, because I've always chose these crisis assignments where things were still shut down when I was there. And initially, me trying to adapt to this new thing called life, my physical, to some degree, suffered when I was in New York. I was able to ride a bike, right? So that's kind of how I got around. I didn't take the train, the subway. I stayed off buses because I was not trying to get the vid, right? I was already working it. Yeah, man. I took the stairs. I'd stay off elevators, that sort of thing. So I was able to kind of get, some exercise in that fashion. But now I've accepted that this is just currently a way of life, and I carve out time in the morning. I get up. I get up at 4 a.m. and I do fasted cardio, right? Whether that's just on an elliptical or swimming laps in a pool or on a treadmill, whatever I can do, I do it then. Yeah, I do it then, and after work, I do a little weight training. Yeah.
nice. And I just got wind of his IG today, because we normally correspond through the little messages on IG, and I am quite inspired. I said, "Oh, you want to start this up now? You want to start it up?" So I'll be able to share some of his pictures and some of his photos. One of the things that I'm going to share about Shannon is that, we come from a family of athletes, like most of us probably do. And we have my dad, what is it, 6? It was 6 brothers, 4 girls?
Yeah, 6 and 4, a total of 10.
Total of 10. There was more, but total of 10 that lived. His mom was older than my dad is the youngest out of all of them. But
Right.
all of them just athletes. And we had, our Uncle Vic, who was one of the first. Was it just national or international? Did he compete nationally or just?
I believe he competed at the national level. Yeah, in
Okay.
bodybuilding.
For sure nationally. I don't know if he did internationally, but he was such an inspiration. I know for me, just coming up into bodybuilding and things like that. And I know Shannon started bodybuilding for quite some time, and still to this day has a body that he could compete. I strongly feel. But it's been always a blessing to see him maintain that, and just to have another relative that we can connect with on that path. I'm going to switch gears for a slight bit, Shannon. I really want, if you can, just report in what does the world look like right now over the next 3 months in terms of COVID and the profession. And then I'm going to follow up about how we can, if, let's say, if we go through another shutdown, perhaps how do we need to be designing our minds to still prioritize our physical health activity?
Sure. Yeah, those are great questions. First and foremost, I just want to preface, I am not a scientist.
Sure.
I'm a registered nurse, and I'm reporting from my personal experiences. Yes.
Yes.
Instinctually, based on the trends that we've seen, there's likely a spike happening right now. And the reason I say that is we watched it happen. Uh, a spike began just before, I'm sorry, or after major holidays, right? And we just had two or three of them back to back to back. What did we have? We had Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Eve, right? Um, and the way the data kind of unfolded last year is a lot of states were thinking that COVID numbers had dropped off because a lot of people had died, right? So it's like, oh, the numbers are down. So they would advance to the next phase, whatever that phase was, and reopening their state, or or saying, okay, we don't need to do this or we don't need to do that. We're good. And I hope things will continue to improve. But in spite, if my gut is correct, and these spikes are going to happen, it's human nature, like Deja said, to want to interact with people, right? um I think it's important to have those interactions, but to do them with caution. Keep you some hand sanitizer. Do there's nothing muzzling about wearing a mask. Right on, right on. There's really nothing muzzling about wearing a mask. I get it, it's uncomfortable. I understand that. I wear them anywhere from 12 to 16 hours at a time, right? I get it. However, it's not just about uh, not getting COVID as an individual. It's about keeping hospital beds open for people who don't have COVID, who have other pre-existing conditions, who need medical attention and help as well. Um, we got to think on a much broader scale. It's to help our community. It's not just about the politics of masking up or not masking up. Uh, I encourage people to get together and enjoy each other. But yeah, wear the mask. Protect yourself, protect one another. Let's stop this spread. Please get vaccinated. Are you guys vaccinated?
Do I have to disclose?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's up to you. You
Yeah.
are? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Right on.
You plan
right
on
on.
getting this boost.
Well, when you work in the health
Yeah.
field at Memorial Hermann, we have to be so.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be honest. In the beginning, I wasn't super thrilled about it, right? Because there was not a lot of data there to support one way or the other if it was going to be a good thing or a bad thing. But now there's over 9 billion of these vaccines that have been given worldwide. There's over 9 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe a little over 3 billion people in this world have had the series. So we're right around 50%. I think the last time I was checking statistics in terms of the world being vaccinated, I want to step out of this national mindset of just the US, but let's look at it on a global scale. Excuse me. So progress is being made. Can we get 100%? Absolutely not. Is it rhetorical? Is it all related to people's thoughts and feelings? No, not at all. Some people have, immune system contraindicators, right? They can't have it because they're a cancer patient or they have an autoimmune disorder or disease that it's just not beneficial for them to have it. Their body's immune system can't handle it. But while we're on the subject, if I could just put it out into the universe that a lot of people have a misconception that this vaccine, it doesn't work because their understanding or misunderstanding of the vaccine is that vaccines prevent you from getting something. And I wish I could share that sentiment, but that's not how vaccines work. Vaccines help your immune system build antibodies, right, to whatever that is, in this situation, COVID. So in the event that you come in contact with it and you get it, it hopefully will not take you out. And there's lots and lots of fantastic data out there that shows people who do get sick after being vaccinated, they do much, much better than those who are unvaccinated. And I've seen that in my own medical practice. In all honesty, guys, I've taken care of only one patient in the ICU who has been ventilated after being vaccinated and one in a positive COVID.
Wow.
And that individual was an elderly man who had a really, really incredible pre-existing history with heart disease. And he was actually doing good with the COVID side of things. His heart just wasn't strong enough for him to survive, unfortunately. But those who wind up in the hospital with COVID, I see them discharged in 2 to 5 days, where these people that wind up in ICU, where I tend to spend the majority of my time on a ventilator, it's war, unfortunately. Those people are fighting for their lives 10, 15, 16 days at a time. And right now, the data on people surviving being intubated and put on a ventilator, status post-COVID is still somewhere between 10 and 15%. Those are horrible, horrible survival rates.
Wow.
It's a very distasteful statistic. And God is, if you believe in God, has put us in good shape. We have tools to fight it. We just have to be open enough to utilize our tools until we get more sophisticated ones.
And I am going to take liberties to ask this question, and you feel free to answer, Silver Fox.
Yeah.
I know that there were a lot of reports talking about the bodies that were piled on top of bodies earlier on during COVID. Can you kind of speak to that and just, share what that condition looked like with so many people passing, especially with you bringing up a statistic where, I'll be honest, until you said something, it wasn't in my thinking to interpret the numbers that, hey, COVID cases are going down because some of these people are people actually dying, not because it's getting better, but people have died. And we're tracking those numbers very differently now, or at least the mirage is that, oh, things are getting better. But these were people who are probably in the groves of bodies that were being stacked out. Can you just kind of speak to that in your personal experience?
Sure. So I definitely don't want to confuse the points.
Sure.
I do think things are getting better, right? We definitely have a better understanding of how to treat COVID, but we're still not experts on the treatment of COVID-19, okay? In almost 20 years of practicing medicine, for most of the major disease processes, there has been development of what we call a best practice approach, okay? Which means it doesn't matter where I am in this country, I can look up a best practice approach of treating heart disease, right? Like hypertension or high blood pressure, or type 1 or type 2 diabetes. There are best practice approaches that has been shared by every medical institution in this country, and sometimes even worldwide. We've not been able to develop that just yet. So because that doesn't exist, you have providers, right? Doctors, nurse practitioners, or PAs, physician assistants, across the country and the world who are trying different things. So there's still not a best practice approach. And because of that, in New York, we were treating these patients because they appeared a certain way. We were treating them like they had a certain type of respiratory disorder. We typically refer to it as acute respiratory distress syndrome, or ARDS, or ARDS. And when you're dealing with a patient like that, you tend to go up on certain settings on the ventilator in order to help them breathe. Well, we were running into problems where it looked like it was working. And these people were developing these spontaneous pneumothoraxes, which are huge. We were blowing their lungs up, okay, with unnecessary amounts of air. And then we would have to go in and place chest tubes. And we would literally go from room to room to room to room, where we were treating all these patients this way and having to put in chest tubes. And we were making things worse in this experimental phase of trying to figure out how to treat COVID. And yeah, man, I witnessed, I stopped counting at around 300. I participated in about, hands-on 300 people dying.
Wow.
Yeah. After that, I stopped counting. It did not do my mental any good. But yeah, these freezer trucks would pull up, and initially they had shelves, and people were placed on those shelves, and after they had passed away, very dignified, right? With a lot of dignity, you would place them on these shelves, and people were dying at such a fast rate, man. They stopped bringing trucks with shelves and just brought in the freezer trucks.
Oh, wow.
You guys got to understand, in New York, there were not COVID units. The entire hospitals were COVID positive. There wasn't a ward specified for just COVID-19. It was the entire hospital. And you didn't just have people coming in sick, you had people that were working there getting sick. And at one point, the entire morgue, the people that worked down in the morgue had become overran with COVID. None of those people were even working. So their responsibilities became nursing responsibilities. So, I won't get into the grim details of what that looked like, but it was overwhelming. And myself, like Deja, I'm always a cheerleader and trying to keep the team inspired and energized, and trying to keep people's eyes on what our focus and the prize is, which is we got to get through this, right? We got to pull through. People are counting on us. But in my downtime, I avoided those feelings and those memories for quite some time. They were suppressed, and I didn't realize it. They would, kind of come out.
Pause you for one moment, cousin, Silver Fox. Are you okay answering this kind of question and going into those details? Let me just.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And I was a little weird when I came back home, because, where I live didn't look like New York. It had not experienced loss at such a high rate. And, we had our own relatives who had passed in that time period, and I couldn't be a part of that. And there were some family members who were upset with me. They thought I was so money hungry that I didn't care enough to show up and support. And what they didn't realize is due to my extreme exposure, the last thing I wanted to do was run the risk of exposing them to COVID. So, I had some heavy thoughts that I had to sort through, but I have done that. I have done the work.
Okay.
I have done the work. Absolutely.
And let me say that may not have been the best job of crafting the question, but it to a degree was a dovetail question to tie in the experiences of what your reality has been dealing with COVID, and then to also reiterate the importance of what Deja has talked about, creating these groups and understanding that we are in a time period where we are seeing massive deaths, and depending on where you're living in the country or around the world, that experience can be different, but we're all being impacted. And one thing for sure, we know that now here's where we start to move into some different kinds of sciences, but that energy of stress is bringing, yes, that happened in New York, but that energy just did not stay in New York. That energy went across literally the United States as well as around the globe. Absolutely. And just to reinforce the importance of taking your mental health very seriously, because no, you may not have been directly impacted for someone who's out there, but you don't have to be directly impacted to be able to pick up some of the stress that's out there. And I know I'm going like way over time, so I'm going to just start to really shorten this, because there's so much that you guys have contributed. I'm so grateful and so humbled that you both have been able to share on this platform. But if you can, Shannon, really quick, just share with that person who is who knows that they need to prioritize physical activity to just not just because of COVID, but just keeping their bodies in alignment, in attune to be its best. Can you just kind of speak to that person about why it's important to prioritize that, especially in lieu of COVID, but not?
Oh, sure. No. Absolutely. So, you know, your nutritional health has a direct correlation and effect of your mental and emotional health, right? We all tend to reach for feel-good foods and beverages when we are unsettled. And I am no different, absolutely no different. How that correlates with COVID is a very inflammatory disease process, okay? And when we're consistently putting foods in our bodies that are highly inflammatory, and to give you some, examples of foods that are very inflammatory: red meat, pork, foods high in saturated fat. When we're consistently consuming those foods on a regular basis, regardless of what our reasons may be, our bodies are constantly in a high inflammation, an elevated inflammatory state. So, in the event that you wind up contracting this virus, you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage in terms of fighting, because you already have lots of inflammation. So, be aware that there are supplements that you can take to assist with reducing inflammation. Turmeric with curcumin and black pepper are fantastic at helping to reduce inflammation in your joints. Also, in places, it helps reduce artery plaque buildup in your heart. It also helps increase nitric oxide retention, which helps the vasodilators or relax our blood vessels so that blood can flow easier. The heart doesn't have to work so hard to circulate blood throughout our bodies. So, that's a good thing. Omega-3s, if you're not a fish eater, but fish is not your thing, please take the supplement omega-3. Omega-3 fatty acids are great for the heart, great at reducing inflammation. And if you notice that when you consume that supplement, that you have a fishy, aftertaste or belch, store it in the freezer. Store it in the freezer. And when you take them that way, it turns that supplement into more of a time release thing. And you'll find that you won't have that unsettling, nasty aftertaste with a belch. But those are a couple of things you can do. In addition, zinc pinacolate is probably the Cadillac of zinc. The pinacolate portion of that is how it's absorbed into the body. There's zinc oxide, chloride, all of these things. and they're all appropriate. But daily zinc, just to help improve immune system, zinc is fantastic for men at helping keep natural levels of testosterone at an elevated level, which is super important. Zinc is good for skin. Zinc has many great properties, but anywhere from 50 to 220 milligrams of zinc a day is appropriate. A good source of vitamin C. What's a good source of vitamin C? I would caution people to think that orange juice, unless you freshly squeezed it yourself, is a good source of it. But if it's going to be in supplement form, just make sure that the bottle it comes in is opaque. Any of your vitamins, if the bottle is, if you can see through it, if it is a translucent bottle, be very cautious about the effectiveness of those vitamins, because vitamins are very sensitive to light. Light causes lysing, which causes the vitamins to break down and you lose its nutritional integrity. So if you have vitamins, including vitamin C, and it doesn't matter if it's a gummy, a liquid, or an injectable or an oral, it needs to be stored in a dark container. If it's in an amber container, you're good. If it's in a white, solid container, you're fine. But if your vitamins are exposed, I question the potency, and I would encourage you to also.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that wealth of information. Where can people find you?
Look, I am super approachable. Right now, the platform is definitely Instagram. You can find me at the official Love and Fitness. My handle is the Silver Fox, and that's with 2 X's, so FOXX. And soon, as mentioned, I will have a podcast, kind of tying in love as well as fitness together, and trying to encourage people to embark on both of those journeys, self-love as well as loving others. And I will definitely get into the pharmacokinetics of supplementation, medications, as well as deep dives into the abyss or the taboo conversations of relationships, man. So I'm excited about it. Podcast is on the way. A YouTube channel to follow as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I am fans already of both your platforms and can't wait. And I'll be sharing your information and, just sharing the love, because both of you have so much to offer. And so I bow at the feet of wisdom and of gifts and grace that you all have come to provide. And I will be sure to share that with other people. We have gone overtime. Thank you all for your patience to be able to share. I'm not going to hold them any longer because I'm sure they got things that they need to do. But thank y'all so much. And I give love from my heart. My prayers and my thoughts go to you and your families for everything that you're doing, and nothing but love and success. And we're going to talk more about how we can bring healing to optimization. We didn't get a chance to really talk about the spiritual aspect, which my personal opinion is core to all the other pieces that we're addressing. And so, but nonetheless, we'll keep these conversations rolling, and I will have these people back on my platform if they would love to come back. And we are just going to share and just change this world as much as we can. So thank y'all so much. Y'all stay on. I'm going to end the recording.
Absolutely.